Hey everyone, I'm going to go ahead and go over the 6-3 homework. Again, this might have, like usual, this might have more questions than yours actually does, but it should cover every question that you do have. So hopefully this does help. I really do suggest using Desmos on this. It's probably going to be the best thing to do on here. I'm not going to be using Desmos solely just because it does not like the Promethean board, which is what I'm using to record. So a lot of this I might be doing on a calculator that I have on hand or just by doing the math up on the board. So I do suggest using Desmos. It's gonna be the best choice. You can get the table. So like for this first one, I would just type this in Desmos and go ahead and get it done that way. But sadly, this Promethean board does not like it. I can try one last time again. I would love for Desmos to work on here. We'll take a look and see if maybe I'll get lucky. I want a square root. Should I go to functions? So you can see I pressed it because the square root button down here is darker. Yeah, it's not working. So I'm just gonna have to do it by hand or use the calculator that I have in the classroom. So yeah, Desmos just does not like the Promethean board, so it's not gonna work. So I would graph this, pull up the table and find out what it is. If you get something that says, if it says UND or undefined, you're gonna pick not a real number. So I'm just gonna take the square root of x plus -9, which is the same thing as saying -9. Oh, I'm sorry. Square root of -9 plus 5. This gets me square root of -4. This is not a real number. So we're gonna put not a real number. And so by typing this in the calculator, pulling up my table, -5 plus 5 is 0, square root of 0 is 0. -1 plus 5 is going to be 4, square root of 4 is 2. 76 plus 5 is going to be 81, the square root of 81 is 9. And again, if you just pull up a table of values, you can do it that way. Desmos is probably going to be your best friend on this. Find the domain of the function. So if we graph this, and I really wish I could tell you, I can sketch out what it would look like for you. And it's going to be to the right 9. So we're going to say about here. And it looks like this. This is what my graph looks like. So this whole area over here does not exist on my graph. This point here is going to be at 9, 0. Anything before that point is not going to exist. So for this point, my range is going to be 9 to infinity. What you do to solve this by hand is what you're going to do is you're going to do x minus 9 is greater than or equal to 0. And you just solve for x. In this case, I add 9, which gives me x is greater than greater than or equal to 9, which is the same thing as me saying 9 to infinity. But in this case, they do want inequality form, so that works out. So we're going to go ahead. Don't want to see. X is greater than or equal to 9. Let's move on to question 3. In this case, my graph is going to look like that when you graph it, -x plus 5. But I'm just going to do -x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 0. the easy thing here is to add x to both sides. So 5 is greater than or equal to x. So yeah, my graph's probably wrong over there. If that is the case, it's going to be here. Instead. So we're going to go over here though. We said 5 is greater than or equal to x. If I wanted to, I could say x is less than or equal to 5. But to me, it was just easier to move the x instead of the 5. All right, so we're going to graph our function x minus 2, plot 4 points on the graph of the function, the leftmost point, and then 3 additional points. To find your leftmost point, again, if you graph this in Desmos, it's going to be the easiest way. Your leftmost point is going to come when you set the inside. So if you find your domain, basically, x minus 2 is greater than or equal to 0. I find x is greater than or equal to 2. So 2 is going to be my leftmost point. So when I plug in 2, I get 2 minus 2. The square of that is 0. So one coordinate point I have is 2, 0. And then it just says any other additional points you want to use. In this case, when you're pulling them, I would try to make sure I'm pulling something that gives me whole numbers. So knowing your perfect squares of 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so on is going to be very helpful. The other thing to remember, though, you can only use the x values that are actually shown on the graph. So I need 3 more points. So I would probably go ahead and use 3 because 3 minus 2 is 1. And so when I take the square root of that, I also get 1. So I'm also going to get the point 3, 1. My next perfect square is going to be 4. So 6 minus 2 is 4. So 6 minus 2, take the square root of that, and you get 2. So 6, 2. And then for 9, I'm going to say 11, because 11 minus 2 is 9, and the square root of that would get me 3. So I'm going to use 11, 3. I'm going to highly suggest using the plot of point. Not what I wanted. I want this. So we're going to use 2, 0. Plot point. We said 3, 1. Plot point. My next one is 6, 2. Plot point. And then 11, 3. So then I can go ahead and click this lovely button here, and it's going to head and plot it for me. If you use the pencil function and you don't get it exactly where it's supposed to be, it will give you a funky looking graph when you say connect the dots. And it should look like half a parabola. All right, so we're just going to graph another one. This makes it really easy because there's nothing inside the radical of my x. So for the x values that I'm going to use, I'm just going to use perfect squares, 0, 1, 2, 4, 9, and so on. So my leftmost point is going to be 0 because when I set the inside to be greater than or equal to 0, it's already solved. So I'm going to use 0 for my x's. I'm just going to make a chart. 0, 1, 4, and 9 are what I'm going to use. When I plug 0 in, I get 0 plus 2, so I'm going to get 2. When I plug 1 in, I'm going to get 3 plus 2, which is 5. When I plug 4 in, I get 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 2 is 8. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 2 is 11. And yes, it is a panda how it's growing. If you paid attention to it, if you figured it out, good for you. If not, that is fine. So I'm going to plot my points 0, 2. We're going to do 1, 5. We're going to do 4, 8. And then 9, 11. Make sure you actually hit the plot point button, otherwise it won't plot it. So that is what it looks like. In class, we went over a lot more information about the graphs, such as the stretching and the compression, the shifting left, right, and using that function notation. All right, so we have another one. This one has an inside it. I know I have a horizontal stretch. I can tell that my leftmost point is going to be 0 again, because when I set 2x to be greater than or equal to 0, I divide by 2, and we get x is greater than or equal to 0. So my leftmost point is going to be 0. And I'm also doubling everything. So I'm going to take my list of perfect squares, 0, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. I'm only going, so because I'm multiplying by 2 on the inside, I'm going to divide all these by 2. And so on. So I'm going to use 0, 1 half, 2, 9 halves, 8, 25 halves, or 36 divided by 2 is 18. So these are the ones I would pick. Based on the graph that I do have, I know I can't pick anything over 13, so I can't use 36, and I need 3 points. So I'm going to use this one for sure. I have to use this one, and I need 3 more points. I'll use this, and I'll just go ahead and use 1 and 1 half for my x value. So the next one is going to be 0.5, and then 4, 2, and 8. So when I'm doing this, I'm picking things that I know is going to give me nice answers. Again, I would just use Desmos for this, but obviously, again, the Promethean board does not like Desmos, so I just have to go ahead and do it by hand. When I plug 0 in, I get square root of 0, which is 0 plus 1, and then I get a 1. 1 half times 2 is 1, square root of 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4, square root of 4 is 2, plus 1 is 3. 2 times 8 is 16, square root of 16 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. So again, what I would do, what I highly recommend here is using the plotted point. We said 0, 2, plot point. For this one, it's not really that big of an issue because it's divided by halves. Do make sure that when you have a decimal answer or a fraction answer, just go ahead and leave it in that fraction form. Oh, I messed up on plotting. I need to erase this first one. So I need 0, 1. I put 0, 2 for some reason. No, that's better. All right. The next is 2, 3. And then we have 8, 5. Point close, draw it, and hit check. And so that is the homework for 6-3. So hopefully this helps, especially if you missed a class or something happened. But that's all I got. And best of luck, and I'll see you in class.